The aim of this video is to explain the concept behind the temporary housing component of this project. The concept was originally developed as an academic exercise at the Cal Poly School of Architecture in Pomona. The following news report explains the original concept in great detail. However, much of the specifics have changed since the original conception to make it more conducive for our particular application.
From tiny homes to big hotel rooms, city leaders have tried everything to end homelessness. Now a group of local students say they have a better idea. Our Philip Palmer takes a look at their creative solution that could be a game changer for housing the homeless.
Efforts to house the homeless have exploded over the last year. From Project Room Key to tiny homes, help is available. But a group of architectural students at Cal Poly Pomona believe their idea should go from the drawing board to the real world.
We want to give these people a purpose.
Over the past several years, Dr. Ben Samara's fourth-year architectural students worked to create a process for the production of mobile dwellings using the existing structure of a shipping trailer.
Every semester, the work of the previous semester is basically pushed further, right? So it's just moving forward along, and we are at a place right now that basically everything about that concept is fully developed.
We have created like a whole manual, like step-by-step guide of how to fabricate each component of it.
Each unit could be for a single family or two separate single units. The detailed plans allow for the units to be easily assembled by the occupants at a cost of roughly $35,000, which is a fraction of the cost for typical transitional housing. But beyond the housing, the focus is a community.
The idea for us has been to create that infrastructure around it, not just give them the houses, but created that environment around it that gives them employment, gives them functionality, gives them purpose, gives them hope.
A critical element is the use of land owned by the government, in this case, Bureau of Land Management land near the Salton Sea. Originally, it was developed as a trailer park, complete with infrastructure, but now sits vacant. Similar sites could be found in virtually every city in the country.
If you proposed a purpose for these lands, right, and your purpose was meaningful and benefited the whole entire community, then there's no reason why anyone would say no.
Since the community is mobile, if that land is needed for a different project, the trailers could move elsewhere.
Much easier to build a mobile structure, one that is not connected to the ground, much easier to build one of those in terms of code restrictions than it is an attached component.
The students remotely taking Dr. Samara's class this semester have put the finishing touches on the project, which is now ready to be implemented. The only piece missing is a city or private organization willing to fund it.
If this could become a viable process, there's no reason why it can't be tackled in other places.
I personally think we cannot continue relying on government officials to solve this problem entirely, but I think that we can work together with them to find new solutions.
So obviously, this original idea as it exists is not appropriate for this application and this site. But there are aspects of the design that can be carried over to help bring a similar level of efficiency and functionality to the design. And those elements are modularity, having the same elements repeated over and over again, and the other aspect is the prefabrication. So that these elements, the units would be made somewhere off-site and transported and assembled on location as needed. There's no shortage of examples of modular housing units. As a matter of fact, as of recently, we've seen an influx of projects that have been using actual shipping containers for the actual living modules. In most cases, the actual units themselves are surrounded by some sort of an armature that provides access as well as structural stability. There are also other examples of more custom and non-organic modules. This is a project in Montreal, a music conservatory that uses a steel frame and these individual modules that are inserted after the fact. In the case of Star Apartments, which is here in LA, a concrete armature was actually constructed on site, and individual units which were prefabricated were craned in and positioned, and the whole entire assembly was finished on site. Most relevant precedent and example of this concept is the Nakagin Tower in Tokyo. Here, the housing modules were all constructed off-site. There were two towers that were created on location, and the individual modules were trucked in individually, lifted into place, and bolted into location. Here is one of the modules, separate from the building, what it looks like from the outside and the general size. And this is what it would look like from the inside. This shows the assembly of the different modules around the central core, and you can actually see how each one of them is accessed from the central tower. This shows the process of assembly. You can see one of the units being lifted into location, and you can also see the actual bolt places where these units actually get bolted into the framework. The tower was built in 1970, and it was the pinnacle of the metabolist movement in architecture, which was a architectural design movement characterized by a focus on modular and flexible structures that can adapt and change over time, much like the metabolism of a living creature. The modules themselves were designed to be removable and taken off the building so they could be serviced and replaced and upgraded to adapt to a changing environmental purpose. This would be similar to our proposed process of construction, only that we would be using more advanced materials and techniques in the process. Each module would be approximately 200 square feet, and each would be connected to a framework that will provide it access, support, and utilities.